just wasn't getting better. And, I mean, the doctors kind of were like, well, there's really not a lot we can do at this point other than maybe she'll get better, maybe she won't. We are back from our trip across the country, and there was some tragedies that happened this last week that I wanted to share with you guys. We drove to Utah first. We left about like 2 o'clock in the morning or so. We ended up getting there at like midnight the next day.
Very long drive.
Yeah, we drove straight through. It was like 22 hours or so it took us to get there.
Yeah, with stops and stuff.
Yeah. So we got there kind of late that first day, so we did not go see my dad. That's where my dad's at. He's in Utah. So we waited, and then the next day we went first thing in the morning to go see him in the hospital. We were hoping he was going to go home that day, but it ended up not working out that way, which is fine. We still went and seen him, and he's doing okay as far as his health. He was in the hospital, I would say, for, I think it was like 2 days while we were there.
Yeah.
And I think the last day we were there, he ended up getting transferred to like a rehab facility. They do have a treatment plan in place for my dad, and it's up to my dad ultimately right now to continue the treatment plans to help prolong his life a little bit. But I've been in contact with my dad every day since we left Utah, talking to him and checking in, make sure he's doing his therapy and making sure he's good. And so far he's been okay. He's had some ups and downs. He's had his good days and his bad days over the last week. Like yesterday I talked to him on the phone, was kind of a bad day for him. But the day before that was a good day for him. So
it's been rough the whole time we were there, though, trying like talking to him and stuff, because it was always flip-floppy.
Yeah, there was some really good days when we got there, and then there was, a couple days where you could tell, he wasn't doing too well.
No, I mean, and it's hard for him to, you're talking to him, and I'm not 100% sure he knows what's going on sometimes.
Yeah, so his mind is a little foggy, is the best way I can describe it. He forgets very easily certain things that are going on. Like I mentioned in our last update video about my grandma, he's a little confused about what was going on with her, because I would tell him, hey, we're going to Vegas after, we're leaving on Friday. We're going to go to Vegas and check up on grandma. Oh, okay, I hope, she's, make sure, you let her know that I miss her and can't wait to see her. And
yep.
I don't think he quite understood what was going on with her. But, I mean, he knew we were there. We were showing our support and our love for him. I think it did help boost his spirits a little bit, us showing up there. And, like I said, I've been calling him every single day, just checking in on him. I let him know, hey, I'm going to call you tomorrow, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. We went and seen him every single day we were there.
Yeah, and we would spend, a few hours with him.
Hanging out.
They did move him. He was in Salt Lake City, which is like an hour away from where my dad lives, but they did end up transporting him to a rehab facility, which is a little bit closer to his house, like 5 minutes down the road. So that actually is a benefit for him. I'm sure he's happy to be closer to home.
Oh, yeah.
And also, too, for Lynette, it's also a good help for her because she's got a lot going on in her life as well.
Yeah, she's definitely the rock over there right now.
Yeah, some of you may not know, Lynette is my stepmom. She does comment and watch our videos, Coffee Angel Crafts.
Yeah.
But she's holding it together. She, like Anthony just said, she is like the rock over there right now. I'm sure some days feels like she's not the rock, but she is. So we left my dad's house, or left my dad. He's only about like 6 hours away from Vegas, so that drive was a breeze compared to the one we were on before. So we got to Vegas. It was not like super early, but we got there, and that first day we got there, we went right down to the hospital to go see my grandma.
Yes, and just in case some of you guys don't know,
Yeah.
background story a little bit, just in case, 'cause sometimes there are, you guys don't know. But Gigi, she's 94. In the past, she's had some medical issues with her heart.
Yeah.
And different stuff. And the whole reason why we had to go down there to see her is because she had a really bad, massive stroke. So we got a call like a week ago, well, a little over a week, letting us know that.
Yeah. My dad has been in and out of the hospital now for like 3 weeks or so.
Now, yeah.
Yeah. So during all of those 3 weeks, my grandma ended up having a stroke. I do believe part of the reason why she ended up having a stroke was because of the stress of my dad. My dad is my grandma's baby.
Yeah, youngest.
It's her youngest son. They always had a really good, he's a mama's boy, is I guess the best way I could describe it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure for my grandma, knowing what was going on with my dad, and I think feeling a little helpless because she can't just get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
I think that kind of brought on some of the stroke that happened.
Yep. So hearing that Brian was in the hospital in the initial.
Yeah.
Right. We were waiting to get more information before we left because it's a far drive.
Well, yeah, and like I said too, he had been in and out of the hospital too for those past like 2 weeks before we left.
Yeah, so I'm saying he was in the hospital, and before we got in the car to drive to go visit him, that's when Grandma Gigi had a stroke. So we're like, ugh.
Yeah.
So everything happened all within like a 2.5 week span, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
within Brian, her dad, and Gigi.
Yeah. So it was a lot for me to process at first, and then once we figured out, hey, we're gonna go down there, so we went down there. Getting back into Vegas. That first day we got there, we went right down to the hospital. We unloaded the car. I called my uncle and was like, hey, we're here, We were like, we're gonna go see Grandma. So we got in the car and we drove down there to go see her. And I will say she was sleeping. The nurse woke her up and she was responsive. She knew we were there. She looked at us. She was kind of shocked, I think, to see us.
I think she knew we were there. Like if you drank like NyQuil or you were under some sedative and you kind of like woke up and like had one eyeball open, like think of that, like, yeah. Right? And you know that someone's there. That's about as much as I think she knew. She wasn't like, oh, hey guys.
Yeah, just to throw.
Wasn't like that.
Yeah, just to throw this out here. Actually, the 2 days prior to us getting there, when we were still in Utah, they ended up putting my grandma on a ventilator.
Yeah.
She was having some difficulties breathing, and stuff like that. So they put her on a ventilator to help her out, and it was only for like 2 days. And then the day we got there, they had taken her off the ventilator that morning. So I think she was still a little bit groggy from her being, because they sedate you, put you to sleep, So I think she was still a little groggy because of that. But she was responsive. She was talking to us, the best she could. It wasn't like a full-blown conversation. We were there and I was, we're here. And I told her that we just went to Utah. We saw my dad. I kind of gave her an update on what was going on with him. And I think that kind of gave her a little relief because I can only imagine her being there at the hospital, like just worried about my dad and not being able to communicate with people to ask how he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I let her know that we seen him and stuff. And I think that brought her a little bit of relief. And so we hung out with her for a while that day. She was communicating with us and stuff. And then we left. We came back the next morning. I told her before we left that night, I said, hey, we'll come back and we'll have coffee with you tomorrow morning. And, and she was like, oh, okay, We left that night. The next day, my uncle and one of my cousins and his wife were coming in to come see Gigi. And so we went there that morning. We had coffee with her. She was still really in and out of it. she's not very communicative. I think she was more responsive that first day than she was the next day. And we were, talking to her and stuff. So we ended up hanging out with her that morning. We went back over to her place, waited around for my uncle and them to come. Once they all got there, we all loaded up in the car. We went back down to the hospital to go see her and be with her for a while. She was in intensive care, so they only allowed 2 visitors in her room at a time, so we had to take turns and stuff like that. So that happened. Then I think it was the next day, my other cousin came down to see her, plus her cousins, which are my third cousins, came down. I mean, there was a bunch of people coming down to see Gigi. So we were down there every day. I want to say it was 3 days. So during all of that, everybody coming in and visiting her, her health started to take a turn. When we first got there that first day after they took her off the ventilator, the nurse was telling me, man, she is very strong, and there's lots of good signs of improvement.
Yeah, her heart rate was doing really well.
Yeah,
her blood pressure was
her
really
oxygen was good. Her oxygen levels were really good. She was getting, because she had a massive stroke on her frontal lobe, which affects your personality. It can affect your motor skills. It usually affects the left side, which it did for her. She could not move her left arm, but she did have movement in her left leg, which was a really good sign. I'm like, oh, good. She's, hopefully going to be able to walk on her own, Because my grandma, for 94 years old, she is very independent. She lives alone. She is still driving. She texts messages. I mean, she was a very independent woman.
Still plays the slot machines.
Yeah, still goes to the casino.
And she lives in Vegas, so
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why she's there.
Yeah, the main reason why.
Yeah.
She wanted to retire and have fun.
Yeah, well, one of the conversations we had with her, we were kind of teasing her about going down and having some margaritas.
Yeah, when we were talking to her in the hospital.
Yeah, and she was smiling and laughing and stuff about it. But we all were there for her, showing her the love and support and letting her know that we're there. Same thing with my dad. But like I mentioned, her health started taking a turn for the worst. I want to say it was on Friday.
Saturday.
Was it Saturday? They actually kind of were thinking about maybe putting her back on a ventilator because she was not doing too well. But they weren't sure if putting her back on a ventilator was going to help her in any way because just the things that were happening to her body. Like Anthony mentioned, she already had a heart condition prior to all of this happening that she's been battling with or dealing with for years. 6 years ago, she was in the hospital for her heart condition and stuff like that. So it started causing problems for her again. So ultimately, what ended up happening is I try to look for words to describe, but we had to, I don't know.
The nurse and the doctor came in and laid it all out.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, and mind you, during this time, my uncle is here, which is her oldest son.
Yeah.
He's here, so he's
pretty much like the executor.
Yeah, he's
making all the decisions.
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
making all the decisions, and I mean he's communicating.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, he's communicating with us too.
Sure.
Sorry
about that.
Asking kind of what's going, asking us what we think and stuff like that. So we had to make, we made the decision to not put her back on the ventilator. They did have a really high-powered oxygen mask and stuff for her, and we're offering her other comforts. So we did that for a little while, and ultimately her health just wasn't improving. It just wasn't getting better. And, I mean, the doctors kind of were like, well, there's really not a lot we can do at this point, other than maybe she'll get better, maybe she won't. So...
Because it was at that point of time, like, if she went back on a ventilator, she was basically going to stay on a ventilator.
For the, for the remainder of...
You know what I mean?
So,
like, always be on it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I just said, guys, Grandma was very independent. You know, I'm sure she wouldn't have wanted that. So, it was Sunday, guys. We got the word that there was really not a lot more they could do for her other than offer her comfort care. So we went down there.
All of us?
All of us. Everybody was down there. They let us all in the room with her, and we were there. We were there, comforting her, telling her how much we all love her, and she ended up passing away on Sunday night before we left. I will say we weren't, I'm glad we were there for her and her need. I know that she knows we were there. I know she knows we were there, to be with her. I will say I'm going to miss her so much. I've had a lot of good memories with her throughout my childhood. I was thinking about this, you know, you start thinking about things, you know. I went on so many vacations and seen so many places because of her. You know, I wouldn't have seen some of the things I've seen in my life if it wasn't for Grandma. Because my grandma loved to travel. You know, looking at pictures and stuff of her, went so many places and did so many amazing things in her life. She had a really, really good long life. I hope I can live to be 94 like her. She truly, truly will be missed in this world because she was just so sweet and so kind. There were so many people there showing their love for her, friends, family. Everybody was there comforting her. But, you know, it was just a battle she couldn't win. And ultimately, because she was so independent, you know, I don't think she could have survived her new normal, whatever that would have been.
I don't think so either.
You know, because like I said, she was so independent. I think the fact if she couldn't drive anymore would have been the end all for her. I will say that one of the hardest things with dealing with what's going on right now is the fact that my dad's not doing so well, and he's having he doesn't understand what's going on with my grandma. I did talk to him the day after it happened, and I think he knew.
Yeah.
But then I talked to him yesterday, and he didn't know.
Yeah.
What had happened. He like totally forgot, and that's hard. It's so hard to see that happen. Because, you know, they're, you know, that's her baby, and, you know, and that's his mother.
The relationship that they have.
Yeah.
Between your dad and your grandma. Like, I get it. I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's hard to see my dad go through this and, you know, not quite understand at some days, and some days understand. And, but before it happened, before my grandma passed away, I wanted my dad to be able to talk to her. I wanted her to hear his voice one more time. So we did.
Lynette.
Yeah, we ended up video calling him with Lynette, and I showed, you know, he talked to Grandma a little bit, the best he could. I'm sure she heard his voice. I let her know he was there, you know. Dad's here, you know, is right here with you, you know. So like I said, I'm gonna really miss her. really miss her. She's just was such a fun lady.
Oh, yeah.
Such a fun woman. I mean, and she always had a good time, and no matter what, she just loved having fun and loved having visitors, people come. When we first got there, I think she was a little like, oh, and she was kind of worried about her house, I'm sure, because I let her know, because she loves to prepare for when people come over, food in the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah, she don't mess around.
And the house is really clean, she's got snacks and all kinds of stuff. Well, she wasn't prepared for anybody to show up right now. So I let her know, don't worry, Grandma, we're fine, and I let her, and it may seem insignificant to some of you, but I did promise her that I would clean her house for her before we left. So I said, that way when you come home, Grandma, your house is nice and clean. I was, being positive for her. And I think that kind of was relief for her. So I did keep my promise. I cleaned the house before we left for her. I left it the way she would want it, But like I said, I'm going to miss her.
I'm going to miss her too.
I'm going to miss her so much. That was my last grandparent. I have no more left, and that's a harsh reality to face when you get older, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have any grandparents left either. And Gigi, for 15 years, for me, she's been my grandma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really has been like a grandma.
Yeah.
To me. So it was a pretty rough one for me as well. My grandparents died a while back. On my dad's side, and on my mom's side, they died a long while back.
Yeah.
When I was real little. So I've really haven't had too many in later teenage and adult life really grandparents around until I met you and Gigi, and I met her on her 80th birthday.
Yeah.
I was friends with Roxanne and her boyfriend at the time. And they asked me if I could, even though I'm not a bartender at all, but for a family gathering, they asked if I could be the bartender at like the clubhouse event that they were having.
It was her 80th birthday.
80th birthday.
Yeah.
What I'm, so just pouring drinks for people and getting people wine and stuff. I'm all sure, and that's what I did. That's how I met everybody the first time.
Yeah.
Was that, and that's how I met Gigi, and that's where I met her dad, and
my uncle,
your uncles, and everybody. And Grandma really opened her arms up and brought me into the fold, and treated me exactly like a grandson.
Yeah, I was just gonna say is I will say I think, and this is just my personal opinion, my grandma was the best grandma in the entire world. I couldn't have. I couldn't think of a better grandma. She never wanted to miss out on any of the grandkids or even the great-grandkids' milestones of life.
Yeah.
And that's down to, hey, it's your first birthday or your 5th birthday. That's a milestone. Oh, it's your 10th birthday. That's another milestone. Weddings, graduations. She never missed an event like that. For anybody.
She has not missed a single Christmas, birthday, anniversary, Father's Day, Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Every
Halloween.
single event, we would get a card in the mail.
Yeah. She was...
For my birthday, for her birthday, for Wyatt's birthday, for our anniversary, for Father's Day, for Mother's Day. She was on it.
Yeah.
And even when we were in the same town, she would mail it.
Yeah, she did.
So we got it in the mail as a surprise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she...
It was awesome.
She had, I think, prided herself in her entire life, and she's said this before, is she never wanted anybody to forget her. So that's why she always made it a point to be so involved with people, or, the family.
We wanted her involved, though.
Yeah. No.
We wanted her to be involved.
Yeah, but I'm saying, she just never wanted us to forget her. So I will never forget her, ever.
No.
I know Wyatt won't, and I told Wyatt, you are so lucky to know who your great-grandma was. You know, I never got to meet any of my great-grandparents. They were gone before I came around. So for Wyatt, I'm glad he got to meet her and share really good memories with her. And I'm glad she got to see him and meet him, you know, and be a great grandma. So she will truly be missed in this world.
Yep. One thing I wish she could have seen this place.
I know. That was always one of my things when we left. I would tell people is, you know, you guys, when we're done with the house, I would love it if you all could come out just one time and just see it. Just one time. And I know she would have loved to have come out here and seen it. You know, but, you know, it's a little harder for her to travel, especially driving. And then it is a pretty long flight and stuff like that. So it was kind of, would have been difficult. But we would have figured it out, I'm sure. If she really wanted to do it, if she was determined to do it, right, she would be out here. But I do wish she could have seen it at least once in person. But she watched all of our videos religiously on both Country Road Cure and The Daily Vibe. So she did see it. It's not like she's only seen pictures of it or heard us talk about it.
She would call and get the down and dirty kind of a thing. She'd call Roxanne like, hey, I wrote down like 5 questions for you guys. Like per video, she would see something.
Yeah, she'd call me and
she want clarification on something, you know?
Yeah, she'd have a list of things. She's like, oh, I've been thinking about some things, and then she'd go through her little list, and then there'd be like little things that would add on to it, you know? And a lot of times it was just like, you know, well, what are you guys gonna do with that and stuff? But she was very proud of us. She let us know all the time, every time I talked to her, you know, you guys just have such a nice layout over there. It's so organized and it looks so nice. You know, you guys are doing such a great job. So she was a huge supporter of us doing all of this.
Yeah.
She was. Of course, she was a little upset when we moved, which I was too, you know, leaving her behind. That was a choice we had to make. But I think us doing YouTube and having her be able to watch that, I'm so glad that she got to see that. I am. And see it finished, you know?
Yeah.
So
we're gonna miss her, guys. We don't know anything other than that when it comes to a memorial or funeral or anything. That's still not planned out yet.
No, I think a lot of us still to this day right now are kind of processing it.
Yeah, it's very, very fresh.
Yeah, like it just happened on Sunday, and then Monday was just kind of a mess day for us. We were just full of emotions. She will truly be missed in this world, and I will never forget her.
No, I won't either. She will be missed.
Yeah.